have to carefully consider all of the factors, and there are a lot of factors you consider. And then after you consider all of those factors, sometimes you're in a position where you have to make a tough decision. We're not there yet.
We are not there yet. The search for the missing sub in the Atlantic continues at this hour. The sub had 96 hours of oxygen on board. That time has now elapsed, but the Coast Guard is still saying this is a search and rescue mission. It's not a recovery mission, and they hold out hope. Joining me now with more on this, retired U.S. Navy diver Rick Armstrong. Rick, thank you for being with us. I think we're all hanging our hope on some of the noises that were detected underwater. I want to play a portion of what Captain Jamie Frederick said about those underwater noises for you and our audience.
Sure.
That data was sent immediately to the Navy last night, and it was analyzed overnight. They're still looking at it, but I can tell you that it's inconclusive. But again, I think the important piece is we're searching in the area where the noises were detected.
It is difficult not to speculate, but what do you make of the noises based on your experience?
Well, it may be the individuals inside the vessel signaling for help. That's encouraging. At least it reduces the search area, because right now it's a needle in the haystack. This is a big ocean where the Titan went down. They're putting every effort forward to try to do a last-minute rescue, if you will, before their gas supply runs out. You also got to think that if they're deep, they have hypothermia, food and water. There's a lot of things here, but the on-site commander has made the right decision to continue searching.
Right, and staying calm, given the circumstances for the 5 crew members on board, is a task more easy said than done, especially those who have been down there before. What type of training experience comes into play when you are in such a dire situation?
Well, the passengers get a training session, I'm sure, of, in the event of an emergency, but the pilot is well-versed in actually, he's the owner, well-versed in emergency procedures for his particular submersible. I don't know what their emergency procedures are, pulling ballast. It just depends on what their situation is. If they're trapped on the wreck inside, netting or lines, that's one thing. They need assistance. If they're on the bottom and they're stuck some other way, their ballast won't come off. Now they're depending on the ROVs, the remote operated vehicles, to come and attach themselves to it, or at least locate where they're at and then make a plan to take them off the bottom. You've got to be careful, because if you rig it wrong, you could damage it and possibly jeopardize people inside.
And we don't know why it's missing, right? That's the big question, whether it's trapped on something, whether it's caught somewhere, whether there was some catastrophic event to the sub itself. Is there a most likely scenario based on what we know so far, or just too soon?
There's so many unknowns here. It's they were an hour 45 minutes into the dive. There's a good chance they were on the wreck, and here again, trapped on the wreck or inside the wreck field, the debris field. Or they could be anywhere from 12,000 feet to the surface, somewhere in the middle, or on the surface. It's just not known. It's a needle in a haystack situation. But you've got numerous commercial and military assets out there doing their very best. You've got some of the best technicians in the world right now trying to help these people, trying to rescue these people.
And the eyes of the world on it. Talk a little bit about some of the technology and equipment being used. So you have basically 2 things happening. One, you've got a team involved in the search, and then you have a secondary team, I would imagine, that if and when they locate it, they bring it from wherever it is to the surface safely. What are they using to first detect it and then prepare for that likely scenario?
Well, they're using some high-tech remote operated vehicles. These are state-of-the-art underwater tools, if you will, that they routinely use on oil rigs and putting in underwater cable. So the technicians that run these things are some of the best in the world. Unfortunately, this is a giant area to search. When the supervisor of salvage in the Navy searches for, let's say, a downed aircraft, you're talking weeks to find the wreck and then retrieve it. We're trying to find it in days. And it's the size of, let's say, a van. That is a small target in a large area. It's very difficult. but you've got some of the best tools in the world. This is a very difficult salvage operation, if you will.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.